Hey everyone, ever notice how some people hum while they're eating?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe it's something you do yourself, maybe it's something you've seen in others.
right.
Our deep dive today, we're going to be looking at an article. It's called Is Humming When Eating a Sign of Autism? Exploring the Connection.
Okay,
It's by John Hookway.
interesting.
And it really got us thinking,
Yeah, for sure.
what's the connection?
It's one of those things you don't really think about, and then you read something like that and it's like, "Oh, huh. Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder."
exactly. So we're not diagnosing anyone here, but we are going to unpack this idea. Could humming actually be linked to autism?
Well, the article suggests that humming for some autistic people might be a way to manage all that sensory input you get when you're eating a meal. Imagine, everything's dialed up to 11, the clinking of the forks, people talking, the smells of all the spices and everything.
Yeah, it'd be a lot.
Yeah, it can be completely overwhelming.
Right.
And humming, then it's not just a quirk. You know what I mean? It's more like the sound buffer, a way to create a more manageable experience.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like drowning out the noise, but not in a rude way or anything. More like creating a sense of control when it could be chaotic.
Exactly, precisely.
Oh,
And the thing is, this isn't just like speculation, the research to back this up.
oh, really?
The article, it mentions a study, and they actually found a correlation. People who hum while eating more likely to have sensory processing difficulties.
Okay, so there is a connection there, but that doesn't mean everyone who hums over lunch is on the spectrum, right?
No,
Okay.
no, absolutely not. And the article makes that very clear. Humming on its own, not a diagnostic tool.
Right.
Sensory processing differences, they can show up in all sorts of ways. And, autism is a spectrum. It's complex.
So if humming's not a sure sign, what are some of the more, I don't know, recognized indicators of autism? The article talks about those, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So alongside those sensory differences we were just talking about,
Yeah.
individuals on the spectrum, they might have some challenges with social interaction,
Okay.
like, interpreting social cues, things like that.
Yeah.
Maintaining eye contact, maybe understanding humor and sarcasm. It can be tricky.
Right.
These things, a lot of us, we do them without thinking. But for someone on the spectrum, it might take more effort, more conscious thought.
So it's about seeing the world differently, right?
Yeah.
Processing information differently,
Yeah.
then interacting with the world in a way that reflects that.
Exactly. You got it. And these differences, they go beyond just social stuff, too. The article also mentions, like, repetitive behaviors can be a sign.
Yeah.
Or having these super specific interests they're really passionate about, even just like struggling with transitions, or unexpected changes to their routine, that kind of thing.
So it's not just one thing, it's a bunch of things together that create the bigger picture.
Exactly.
And I imagine it's crucial to remember that autism can look different in everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. That's not one size fits all, not even close.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it really is. And each person on the spectrum, they experience the world in their own way.
So let's say someone's listening to this and they're thinking, this sounds familiar. Maybe it's me, maybe it's someone I know. What would you say is like the responsible next step for them?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
If someone's genuinely concerned, like, the best thing they can do, honestly, is talk to a professional.
Okay.
Don't just go, self-diagnosing based on an article or a podcast or something. That's not the point.
Right, right.
Talk to someone who knows what they're doing, someone who can actually assess, and support someone who might be on the spectrum.
So no more late night internet searches trying to figure out what all the medical terms mean?
No. Leave that to the pros.
Okay, so what do the pros do? How do they figure this stuff out?
Yeah, so the article, it talks about this two-pronged approach. So first, there's the medical assessment,
Right.
and that's done by like a pediatrician or a child psychiatrist, and it's pretty in-depth.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go through your medical history, do a physical exam, maybe even some genetic testing.
So it's like ruling things out.
Exactly. Got to make sure you're looking in the right place.
Right.
And then the second part is called behavioral analysis, and that's where a specialist, they'll actually observe the person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In different situations, at home, at school, just like interacting with people.
See how they act.
Yeah, exactly. To get this full picture of their behavior.
So it's more than just like filling out a survey or something.
Way more. It's about really understanding how someone interacts with like their environment, the people around them.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And that's where this whole individualized approach is super important. Diagnosis, it's about connecting the dots, seeing the patterns, but also really taking into account the person's own experiences, what they're going through.
Right.
It's a journey, and it's best to have someone experienced with you.
Which we are not.
No. definitely not.
Just to be clear, this is for informational purposes only.
Right. We're here to talk about this humming thing and sensory processing and all
Yeah,
that.
right.
But at the end of the day, like, we're not the experts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, let's say someone gets a diagnosis. What happens then? What's next?
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable if someone feels overwhelmed, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even though there's no cure for autism, there are a ton of ways to support people on the spectrum, to help them thrive,
Yeah.
reach their full potential.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, the article mentions a bunch of different management strategies, like there's behavioral therapies, things like applied behavioral analysis or ABA.
ABA, what's that? Can you break that down a bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. So ABA, it's all about understanding behavior and then using positive reinforcement to teach new skills and also to reduce, like, those challenging behaviors.
That's right.
So it's like taking a big task, breaking it down into smaller steps, and then rewarding the progress along the way.
Gotcha. So it's about empowering them to learn and grow at their own pace.
Exactly, in a positive environment.
That's great.
And it's not just about behavioral stuff either. You've got speech therapy that can help with communication skills, occupational therapy, which can be great for sensory processing issues, even alternative therapies like music therapy or animal-assisted therapy, all sorts of stuff.
Wow. So it's like a whole toolbox full of options.
Totally. And it's about finding the right tools for each person.
Right. Personalized, not one size fits all.
Exactly. And then sometimes, depending on the situation, medication might be prescribed, to manage some of those associated symptoms like anxiety or hyperactivity, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
The important thing is there's no one right way to do this.
Okay.
It's about working together. Healthcare professionals, families, the individual, everyone. Exploring different options, figuring out what works best for that specific person.
So it's really about like empowering individuals and families to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
To be open to trying different things and to build that support system that allows them to really flourish.
100%. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear about all those resources, all that support. It really sounds like open communication is key here, right?
Absolutely. Being willing to try different things, finding what works for each individual.
Right, and that ties back into what we were talking about at the beginning, with the humming while eating.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like this perfect example of how much is going on beneath the surface.
Oh, for sure.
We started off wondering about this, like, common thing people do.
Just a little habit. Yeah.
And we ended up exploring this whole world, the world of autism.
Right. All the different aspects.
Yeah. The signs, diagnosis, management strategies. Wow.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And it makes you realize how important it is to be curious, instead of judgmental.
100%. I mean, what we might think is strange or different
Yeah.
could just be someone's way of navigating the world, in a way that works for them.
That's a good way to put it. So by asking questions,
Yeah.
by being open-minded, we
Cool.
can learn so much about ourselves, about others.
Exactly. And that's what I love about these deep dives. They make you think.
They really do. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Right. It's like this never-ending journey.
Exactly. Well said. Well, to everyone listening out there, we hope this has given you a new perspective on humming, on autism, and just like on the power of observation.
Empathy, too.
Yeah, empathy for sure.
Really trying to understand the human experience.
So as you go about your day today, think about this. What other behaviors do we tend to, like, misinterpret?
Oh, that's a good one.
What else can we learn if we just, stay curious and look beyond the surface?
Love it.
Keep those questions in mind, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.
See that?